Good morning. Good morning. As you get here, make sure you let me know that you're here by saying hello. Let me see where I'm at here. All right, give me a moment while I get this up on my phone as well. All right. Oh, okay. I think we're here. It's like something keeps popping up, and it's like I thought I took that away. All right. So I'm super excited to be here with you this morning. It's been quite the busy morning for me. I had to go to the supply house to get things for the salon this morning. So I had to go very early when they opened. But my sister doesn't live far from where the supply house is. So I decided to go even earlier so that, why does this keep popping up? So that I could, oh, good morning, Wendy. Good morning. But I decided I would go and have a cup of coffee with her before I went over to the supply house. So I got up an hour earlier so that I could get everything done, get to her house, have a cup of coffee, enjoy a conversation, get to the supply house, and get back. So I've been burning up the roads this morning. It's been cool though. Thank you. So I for those that were on the live the other day, and I don't remember what day it was I shared about my granddaughter, but I posted a thing this morning because yesterday was actually her birthday. But you know how Facebook does, and it sends you these, special things that happened in your life. This is a memory. And it just took me back because this memory that it shared with me this morning was the day after she was born. She was in the NIC unit, and I was so excited about going to the hospital and being a yaya and seeing her and her birth mother. But little did I know when I posted that picture and everything that the very next day was the day that the whole world would turn around. And so those that haven't heard the story, you may not understand, but it was a very emotional roller coaster, but I would not trade a second of it with having that precious girl. So I just shared the memory this morning. All right. And thank you for being at the masterclass last night, Wendy. It was so much fun. And I'll have to admit, every time we get off the masterclass, I look at Laura and I say, "Oh my gosh, I feel like I ramble. I told the story, and then it's like, is that story even relevant?" And it's like it's just the story that comes up in the moment. It's the first time I've shared that story just like that, right? Um, and so it's interesting how that happens. So I assume because she said no, I thought it was perfect. And sometimes for those that have been to the master class, I mean, Laura amazes me. She has such an eloquent way of speaking that sometimes I'm listening to her and I get so in awe of the way she expresses herself, the words she uses, the tempo of her speech, and all these things that she'll say, is there something you want to add? And I'm still in awe. And I was, no. So let's see here. Good. And I stayed up late last night so I could make sure I could get the email out with all the links and the replay and everything, because it's like, I'm just so excited for people to experience it, right? Whether they go on to get into the program or not, I'm just so happy that Laura and I've been able to pour into you guys with these different master classes and give you little tiny taste of some of the things that'll be in the program. But like Wendy, you shared last night that just being in the master classes have made a big impact on you. So, and I appreciate you sharing that so much. I really do. And so I'd really like to, at some point, let's talk a little bit more about that, because I like to know what really resonates, what hits, so that I can make sure that I put more of that kind of thing in the material, right? So I'm definitely going to reach out, Wendy. Yeah, and find out your ideas about it, and maybe get a little testimonial that I can share. So, but I appreciate you. You are such a true gift, and I'm so grateful that I went into Melissa's group that one day and made a friend with you. And so I appreciate you greatly. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and get to our affirmation. And if you'll notice, let's see, hold on, let me, I can't talk and do this at the same time. So hold on a second. Yeah, the program is fantastic. I cannot wait to dive in. And you know what's interesting is that when I created the program, I didn't even have these ideas of maybe people would want to pour their programs into it and everything. But oh my gosh, the outpouring of people that have wanted to say, "Ooh, I want to share my stuff with your program. That would be beautiful." It has just blown my mind that people are so willing to give, and to give into this program, for all you guys. Ah, great! I love it. And so the thing is, as we were talking about the different programs and everything last night that people have poured into this, it's like I can feel that each time they deliver this program inside my program, I'm going to be there with taking notes and everything, because it's like it's an extension. It's a little bit of what I do, but just in a totally different way. And so it's going to be amazing to see the growth in 8 weeks that people are going to get, because it's not just Laura and me and this program that I've created. It's so much more, right? And so I'm sitting back, thinking, oh, I want to, let's see where you are when we start and see where you are at the end. I'm so excited to see the difference, right? So it's beautiful, and I'm so excited about it. Yeah, Wendy, I am so grateful I went into that group too and met you. All right, so our affirmation for today is, I am the playful architect of my life's adventure. And we've had similar affirmations and journal prompts before. But the thing is that we look at it in different ways. So, we've looked at it as a game, we've looked at it as magic. Now we're looking at it as an architect. So we're building it, right? And we build by the people we associate with. Wendy. I know it offers so much. Thank you for saying that. But as an architect, we collect our tools, and we collect all the things that we need to build whatever but the architect's not really doing the building. The architect is doing the designing, right? And then the architect, as they design, they determine, what is needed in this area and this area, and how can I make this part stronger and higher. And so an architect does so much. It's kind of like the behind the scenes kind of thing. And so if you think about it, if you have someone that's an architect and they give you a design for a building, right? And they're not a good architect. Maybe they've created a space that is tall and it doesn't have the right amount of supports on that main level, right? And maybe they didn't do the whatever the hell, I can't think of what it's called. I know my husband talked about this stuff, the foundation, that they dig a hole, they put the stuff in for the foundation, and they make sure that everything, all the pillars and everything are really solid, and they concrete it. But if the architect doesn't even put that there as this is where this goes and this is where that goes to make this building strong, then what happens is that you build and you build and you build, and then everything topples over, right? And so, what we're talking about as being our playful architect in our life's adventure is that we sit back and we can look and see, like we talk a lot about the things that have happened to us in our life and how they make us stronger and where's the lesson in it and everything, right? Right? Do you remember that? Let me see what we got going over here. All right. So if you remember us talking about that thing, just put a yes in the comments and let me know. I keep trying to unpin this comment that's down here, but it won't go away. So the thing about our being an architect, right, of our life is that we are able now, wherever we are, to look at all the things that have happened in our lives and see those created part of the foundation because they were the lessons learned, they were the strength building, they were the character building. They help us know what we like and what we don't like, what we want and what we don't want. I mean, when you think about it, there's a polarity about everything. And you can't appreciate the light unless you know there's darkness, right? And so a lot of times we start chastising because we're not where we want to be, or maybe we're chastising because we made this decision a long time ago and it sent us on a different path. And we maybe don't think that that path is great. The thing is, design our own future, controlling our life. Yes. And so the thing is that all of those things, like I talk about in my podcast, we lead a mosaic life where all those bits and pieces have made us who we are. And then I will say, if you're not happy with who you are, then you need to be looking at you or the architect. You get to create it. So figure out all those things that have happened, those decisions that you've made that you say have made you in this horrible life. Then just look at it. Maybe you're still the victim of it. Maybe you're looking at it as a bad thing. Whereas if we can find any nuance that is good, something that we learn from it. I've had a lot of things happen in my life that if you were to think about it, it would have been better had those things not happened, theoretically, right? However, each one of those things taught me something, gave me strength about something. And, and some of them, it's like so obscure. I think I remember there's one in particular that comes to mind, and I'll just share it really quick, but I still sometimes struggle with what the lesson is on this one. And the thing that comes up for me is that it made me realize how precious life is and how precious the things that we do are, and that not to take things for granted. Maybe that's the lesson. But I'll just share real quick. I'm not going to go too deep into it. However, my first husband was a musician. And he did these Saturday jam sessions where we would be at the club all day long, because I always went with him. I loved it. I loved being part of the band in outside, not as the band, right? It was beautiful. I loved it. The thing was that we were there for this Saturday jam session, and it was Christmas Eve. And we were there, and there had been people playing because people would come up on the stage and play with the band. Well, after the jam session was over, we had a little bit of time, to just kind of sit and talk and all before they started their actual set. And so, like I said, it was Christmas Eve. There was Christmas decorations everywhere, Christmas trees, and you could watch the evening shift staff coming in, and they were all carrying gifts because they were going to have like this Christmas party after the bar closed. And so we're enjoying the music, and we're looking around and watching all these people coming in, and everybody's excited. And I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the band because my husband's up there playing. He played the bass, by the way. And all of a sudden I heard this pop, pop, pop. And so I thought, you know how you have those little poppers that you pop down and they make that sound, right? So I thought because it's Christmas Eve, it's getting close to the new year and all that stuff, that somebody was throwing poppers. And I'm looking at the stage. And as I'm looking there, all of a sudden my husband diverts his eyes to me and he says, "Get down." And I thought, what? And he said, "Get down." And so I got down and I noticed that everybody was scattered. And um, I turn around and I look and I see people scrambling. I see all this activity going on, and I'm right there crouched at the table because a lot of the spouses and everything had not arrived. There was a couple of us there, right? And so, and even talking about it makes my heart flutter. And so once the situation seemed to, good morning, Kimmy. Once the situation seemed to deflate just a little bit, we could come out from under the table and all those things. I realized that somebody had come into the club, and the doorman that was at the door, there's somebody there that says, "Here's you pay your $5 or whatever the hell it is." It's probably $30 now for all I know. But he was sitting there or standing at the door, and he was taking people's money, stamping their hand, doing that stuff, right? And somebody came in and shot him. And so we're waiting on the cops get there, and they tell us everybody has to stay. And I have to go to the bathroom very bad. And so I said, "Okay, I've got to go to the bathroom." And they said, "Go ahead and go." So I go. And the thing that has stuck with me so much with this is I had to step over this body in order to go to the bathroom. But it was like time stood still. And as I walk up, I see him laying there, whereas, 15 minutes before, he had been laughing with us, and he had come over and talked to us. Then he went to the door, and his wife was actually one of the bartenders, and all these Christmas gifts are around, and there's supposed to be the celebration at the end of the night, right? So I go on to the bathroom, and then as I come back, I feel totally numb. It's like I'm watching a movie and I'm not in it, right? I step back over the body, go and sit down. And then we all had to talk to the police. And then after all of that was done, all of us, the band and all the people that were part of it, we all go to the IHOP, which is what we always did at the end of the day, right? But it was just so bizarre. It was like we were sitting there talking, and we were kind of avoiding a little bit about the incident that had happened. And I still felt like numb, like it hadn't really happened, you know? And I had a little bit of PTSD after that. If I heard firecrackers or I heard anything, I thought it was somebody firing a gun because, like I said, I thought it was those little poppers. It did not sound anything like it sounds in the movies. It didn't even sound like, because I've been to the range and I've shot guns, right? It didn't sound like that either. It was very bizarre. And I don't know if it was the distance I was from it or if it was just the way it sounds when you're in this, because it was a huge bar, huge bar. And then the really heart-wrenching thing, like it wasn't heart-wrenching enough. The heart-wrenching thing was that the person who shot him had been in the club earlier, had been playing pool, and he lost a bunch of money. And he left and went home and got his gun. Well, the guy who was at the door looked very similar to the guy that he had played pool with and lost all this money. So he actually shot someone and killed him that wasn't even the person he was mad at anyway. And so, like I said, for me, I struggled so many times to get the lesson out of it. And the only thing that I can get out of that incident is to appreciate what you've got, appreciate the people in your life, appreciate your experiences, appreciate your life, because you just don't know when it's going to be gone. And that's the only thing that I can get from it. And that's a pretty powerful thing too, right? But it's something I have to remind myself of sometimes, because I'll think, oh, I should call somebody, and then I get busy and I don't do it. But what if somebody had been wanting to call him that day to wish him a Merry Christmas or something, and they delayed because they thought, oh, I'll call tomorrow on Christmas instead of Christmas Eve. But they never got to have that conversation. So, yeah. And it makes me so much more aware. But however, I don't always do that. And so by talking about it today, it makes me even more aware of how often I don't. And that it's a reminder to me to reach out to people that I care about, right? Damn, this was not what I was supposed to talk about today. So looking at the things that have happened in our life and finding the lesson in them help us to create this architectural foundation of our life. And so I've learned so many things from all the different things that have happened in my life. And like I said, sometimes there's things that happen and it's really hard to spend time with it. It makes you sad or makes you angry or anxious, right? But to pull that lesson out of it and use it to make yourself a better person, make yourself stronger, and have more empathy to make changes that maybe you need to make, right? So I'm asking you to look at some things that may have happened in your life. What is the lesson that you can find in it? And how can you use that lesson, right, to create this beautiful life that you choose? And, everything that's happened to me in my life has created who I am. And I like who I am. And so I appreciate each one of those things just for the mere fact that it has created this me that I am now. And not to say that it's not going to change tomorrow or next week, because we're all evolving and always changing. And so I'm just wondering, are you ready to look at the things in your life and decide how you're going to build this life's adventure? I mean, there are so many things, like it's the people we talk to, the people we connect with, the courses that we take. That's part of our architectural system, right? The books we read, the groups that we belong to, all of those things create this foundation so that we can have this life that we want, right? So let's get to the journal prompt. Oh gosh, I'm going to have to figure out a way to stop doing that. Oh my heavens. All right, so now let's get to the journal prompt. What would you build in your life if you knew you couldn't fail, and why does it excite you? Because remember, we can build whatever we want. And the things that we've done, as like I said, the people we've met, the books we've read, the courses we've taken, the experiences that we've had with people, all the things that have happened in our life have all created this foundation that we have right here. So we've got this amazing foundation, and some of it has actually created walls and created a second floor and a third floor, right? And so what that means is we have so much that we can pull from already. And so, what would you build? What would you create in your life if you knew without a doubt you couldn't fail? What would you do? Because a lot of times we sit behind the level, a little bit of fear is that, well, will it work? But sometimes that fear comes from, what will people think if I say I want to create that? Right? Because there is a whole sector of people that feel like if you get prominent, if you get wealthy, that there's something wrong with you, that you're a bad person. And there's a whole bunch of people that condemn the hell out of people that have a lot of money, right? I even saw a post the other day, and the woman was talking about rain boots, okay? And she was talking about how wealthy people spend money on rain boots. Now, the thing was that she showed the Coach and the Burberry and I don't know what all they were. But then she gave us a price tag, and there was a pair of rain boots there that was $2,000. Okay. So my thoughts were, if somebody had $1,000,000, would 2,000 be big a deal? No. So it only seemed like a big deal to her because she didn't have her physical space and her mental space about the capacity for money was that was a lot of money, which it is to me, because right now I'm not in a financial position to where $2,000 on a pair of rain boots would feel good, right? But there might be a day that it is. So it's like, wherever you are, if you're a person that goes and buys a pair of shoes and they're $150, or maybe they're $250, right? There is somebody out there that's going to chastise you for that because they don't have the mental capacity, the financial ability to spend that kind of money on shoes. And so they think you should go and they don't look that much different from these over here that are $50. So why would you do that? And so I just want us to be aware that, as we're creating this idea of what would we do if we couldn't fail, is that make sure we're not listening to those kinds of things where somebody's saying that that's not okay. Because to someone that has a lot of money, $2,000 is a drop in the bucket, right? I mean, there's a reason why very wealthy people will spend $500 or $1,000 on a haircut, right? And it's not that that person is so much more skilled. It's just that they are catering to a different clientele that is probably what we feel is $50. And so it's looking at things a little bit different, right? So that we can see that there's a whole plethora of ways that we can see life and we can see things. And so as we're looking at the architecture of our life, who do we want to mirror? Who do we want to be if we knew that there was no way that we would fail at all? And that, just imagine there's nobody that says, oh man, don't do that. If there's nobody that says, what? You're one of those? Perspective. Yes, definitely. That's a wonderful word. It's the perspective. Yeah. And we can find, people can find the things that are evidence of their perspective all the time. And it's just like we've talked before about when you're focused on something, that's what you create, right? So when I bought my Prius, and suddenly there were Priuses everywhere, they were always there, right? But I was focused on them, so I saw them. So if you're focused on the things like this woman was talking about, spending all this money on these rain boots, if you're focused on that kind of thing, you're going to see evidence every single day about how people are just frivolous with their money, in your opinion, right? And it's going to be you're going to see it all the time. You're going to see people talking about it. You're going to see evidence of it. But is that what you really want, right? I had rather see that these people that spend $2,000 on these boots, maybe that's the same person that gives $100,000 to this orphanage. Maybe that's the same people that give $1 million to the heart, right? For heart research. So we can either look at these amazing things that people do with their money that they have, or we can be focused on this thing we think is frivolous. And so I know this is getting really off topic for this in a way, but it's not, in the fact that a lot of times what holds us back is we don't want people to look at us and say, look at how they frivolously do this. Can you believe that? They have way too much, or they wouldn't do that. Right. And so that can hold us back. There are so many things. And I know one of the things that will hold some people back is that if you're the group of people that you're around are usually really close to whatever you are, right? If you want to see where you are in life, look at the 5 people you spend most time with. And so if you end up growing and they don't, then, and you become this architect of your life and you do these amazing things, then what happens to those people if they don't grow with you? Right? And that's a big thing too, because we don't want to leave people in the dust. They've been friends. We've had them for a long times. You can't live by other people's opinions. True, true. It doesn't mean people don't get affected by them. And that's the biggest thing, is that we know that in our hearts, we know that in our minds, but we don't really know that inside. It's not what we feel, because there's that shadow there that is saying, well, wait a minute. I don't want them to think those things about me. And that can come from when you were a little child and you had some toy that other people were wanting, and then they didn't have that same thing, and then they start talking about you because you've got this and they don't, and they make it like you're a bad person. So maybe something like that happened in your past, and so today that's a big fear, but you don't consciously know that. And so it's something sometimes we have to really dig into what's going on and why are we holding ourselves back? Because procrastination is not just procrastination. Procrastination is a tool that keeps us safe from different things that are going on in here, right? So if we feel like if we're afraid that we're going to do all this and nothing's going to come from it, we're going to fall on our face and everybody's going to know, we'll procrastinate like hell. Because if we procrastinate and don't do it, then we have this excuse. Well, I just didn't have time. I did this, I did that, and that's why it didn't work. Right? And so sometimes it's because, like, you don't want to leave your friends behind. So you won't do all the things that you're inspired to do because you want to keep one foot over there. And you don't consciously think, I'm going to not do all these things I'm supposed to do today because I want to stay friends with these people. It's not a conscious thing. It's all unconscious under the surface, right? And so it's important, as we're doing this work, as we're doing these affirmations and these journal prompts, that we spend some time just digging in, because this is a little surface thing right here. What would you build in your life if you knew you couldn't fail? And why does it excite you? Well, we really need to know what it is that excites you, because if not, that subconscious stuff is going to start pulling you back. And it can still try. But being aware and noticing when those things happen and taking time to look at it. And because the things that we don't look at because we want to bury our head and not look at it, like finances, like Luis is going to be here tomorrow to talk about finances, because that's sometimes a very difficult topic for people to talk about, even with themselves. And so we want to open up that portal so that we can talk about it and let the light shine in, right? And that's what all of this stuff does for us. So our affirmation, remember, let me look and see if I can see what's going on over here. Oh, let's see. Sandra says, so sorry. This is Sandra. If it's not too late, could you send me the Facebook master program? Well, we had the last master class yesterday, but I can give you a link to the program that's coming up. Or are you asking for, oh, okay. Sandra says she would build a worldwide global business ministry on how to overcome grief and live. Oh, I love that. I love that. I love that. So, if you're wanting to get information about the program that we're actually doing, that would start in July, let me get my notebook over here. I discovered the other day that when I can even see this stuff, which sometimes I cannot, then the names disappear sometimes. So let me write your name down as you are on Instagram. And then I can send you a link to join our group, the Stand Up and Stand Out group that's on Facebook, and I can give you the information about the program that's coming up, and maybe I could just go ahead and send you a copy of the masterclass that we did last night. Is that what you're asking for, Sandra? So just let me know. All right, so let me get back over here. So our affirmation, remember, put it on a sticky note, your index cards, put it as a screensaver on your phone, put it on your mirror with a chalk marker, just put it somewhere that you can see it. And remember, anything that comes after the words I am are so powerful, right? So powerful. And so that's why we have to really be mindful of when we say I am and we finish that sentence. So as you catch yourself saying I am, then think about it and say, well, am I claiming what I want? So let's say you got up this morning and you felt very tired and you caught yourself saying that I am tired, right? But is that really what you want to feel today? So it would be the better way to say that was right now, I feel a little tired. And so that is that moment. That means it can change in an instant, right? So the I am statements, oh, I love them. I love them. I love them. And if you knew the power of them, you would love them too, right? So I am the playful architect of my life's adventure. And I like the playful part because if it's not playful and fun, are we going to keep going and keep doing? No, we'll abandon the cart, right? And so we can be so adventurous as we look at our life's adventure and create, right? And then our journal prompt, let me pop back over here real quick and see if there's anything else. And so, what did I get? Okay, the journal prompt. What would you build in your life if you knew you couldn't fail? And why does it excite you? So what I like to advise everybody is we're making changes every single day, right? So today we've got this amazing affirmation and journal prompt. We do all of this work, and that by itself changes us just a touch, right? But then tomorrow, that is our new normal. And the next day, our new normal and our new normal. And after a while, we don't even realize that we've made a change. It is so slow. Like I shared yesterday, if you put about the frog, you put the frog in a pot of water and you put it on the stove. If the water's warm, when you put frog in there, it's going to be comfortable. And as that water heats up, it doesn't even realize it's being cooked alive. And I know that's a horrible thing, but it's a true thing. And that's what happens to us sometimes. We don't realize how comfortable we are and how we stay in this place to our own detriment. And so we are changing, we are growing, and we also, as we're changing, since that becomes our new normal, we cannot even see how much we've grown. And so that's why this is a beautiful process. So you take your journal or your affirmations, I'm sorry, your journal, your notebook, you put the date up there and you put the affirmation and the journal prompt. And then you spend just a few minutes in silence, in quiet, letting the chatter in your mind quiet down. And then you think about this journal prompt. What would you build in your life if you knew you couldn't fail? And that's when you spend a few minutes quietly and then you look at that. And that's when you just brain dump everything that comes up. And some of it's going to seem like, whoa, who the hell do I think I am to do that? But that's okay. Write it all down. And some of it's like, that sounds silly. That sounds crazy. Put as much as you can. Just keep brain dumping. Because you're just doing this to clear all of this stuff out of your head, put it on the paper. And then it can be, right? Then you can look at it and you can say, oh my gosh, look at these things that I think I would do if I knew I couldn't fail. And what feels delicious in the moment to even entertain, right? And then that one thing that you want to really look at, why does it excite you? What about it lights you up and makes you grateful to be alive? What is it? And then you come back and you look at this paper. Well, you take inspired action, you do all that stuff, right? That's a given. But what I'm getting at is in 3 months, 6 months, a year, when you come back to this one practice right here and you look at the things you've written out, I really wonder if you're doing this work, how many of those will you cross off in a year, right? And the thing is, if you had not written them out, you wouldn't even recognize that those were dreams and aspirations that you had, because as you grow in them and they become you, and it's just your normal, right? Because there is probably things in your life right now that you dreamed about 5 years ago. Maybe you dreamed about a year ago. I know there is in mine. However, if I had not been doing this work and writing things down, would I really remember that those were aspirations that I had and how I felt about them? Because it's beautiful to look back and then you can say, oh, this feels amazing. I did do amazing things. Because sometimes in the moment, they don't feel amazing, but they are. Thank you, Kitty. Thank you. So just think about it. What would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? And that doesn't mean that every single one of those things are going to light up your life as you're looking at them. It's just a thought. It's an idea. But get them out. Get them out of your head and onto the paper. And then see, like I said, which one of all that you've written down, which one feels delicious in the moment. It's like, oh, that's the one I want to do. Because we are getting information from God all the time, right? And maybe this is the time that God's saying for you, get these thoughts out here and let's look at them and see which one I want to help you with first, right? So just be open and be aware and begin. Because we can't get to our destination unless we start. And remember, as I was talking yesterday, we can't get to a destination we don't know either. So when you get an Uber, you don't just leave the destination out, right? Because you got to know where you're going to go. They got to know where they're going to take you, but they also need to know where you are to come pick you up. And so this is a place where we know where we are. And we're just writing down what the destinations that are possible for us are. All right. So it's been such an amazing pleasure to be here with you guys today. And I am here live in the group Stand Up and Stand Out every day with an affirmation and a journal prompt. And I share them out in the mornings as I do this in different locations. And so if you would like to be part of the Stand Up and Stand Out community, all you have to do is go to vickypoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com, and you'll be asked to answer a few questions. And once you do that, I will do everything I can to get you in right away so that you can be part of this amazing group. Thank you, Wendy. Have a loving day as well. So if you would want to be part of this group, because it's an amazing community. And like I said, tomorrow in the group, we have Luis is going to be here, and he's a financial expert, and he's going to be talking to us not just about investing and not about saving, but he's talking a lot about the mindset around money. And he's actually one of the people that created a program just for the people that purchase into or invest into the Stand Up and Stand Out Intensive, right? And that we talked about yesterday. So there's so much going on here all the time. And then I've already got someone lined up next month that's going to be pouring into you again. She's been on there before. Kathy will be here and talking a lot about how we manage our space and our organization and how that opens things up for us. And so that's exciting too. So she's going to be here. And so we always have so many things going on in this community, and taking care of each other and sharing with each other. So if that's something that you're looking for in your life, go ahead, go to vickypoole.com, VICKIEPOOLE.com, and join the group. We would love to have you. And let me see real quick, but let me get over here and make sure. All right, beautiful. So thank you again for being here. And like Wendy always so eloquently gives us this final thought, have a loving day. Mwah.